you may know our next guest from her ESPN reporting or her sideline shimmy that we all love right there. But now she is telling her extremely vulnerable story.
Yes, she has a new book, and it's shedding some light on her experience of losing both her parents to addiction at just 18 years old and how it has made her shatterproof. Please welcome Lauren Sisler.
Lauren!
So good to be here.
Every time I see you, I was like, I feel like I want to dance every time I look at you.
You got that
it settles the nerves. Why do the football players get to have all the fun? I want to get out there and move around, man.
Too, right?
We got to have some fun.
That's right. And
get into it.
Seeing you shimmy and dance and all the joy you bring, no one would ever guess what you've been through. And it's truly amazing. Looking at this book, you're so open in it. It took you 10 years to be able to feel comfortable enough to tell this story. And you say you didn't even know that your parents had an addiction problem. How did you finally get to that moment where you thought, I need to tell the world my story?
Oh, it's been a long, long journey. And as you mentioned, it took 10 years before I even opened the toxicology reports and acknowledged, because on paper, I didn't want to acknowledge that they both died of overdose, right? Because it was a shameful thing. Our family can't be impacted by addiction. My parents aren't addicts, right? And so I spent so many years just running from reality, running from the truth of what happened. And so finally, once I started to open up about it, it's like these shackles of shame just broke apart. And it was such an amazing experience, because as I start sharing their story openly, one by one, with one person and another, and then in groups, it's like this amazing just freedom. And then the ripple effect, right? Because as a sports reporter, I'm a professional storyteller. I go out on the field, I get to talk to these men and women and their amazing stories, and I see this amazing impact. And then I'm sitting here like, well, what about my story? And so I think that just seeing that ripple effect and seeing how amazing it is when people can be impacted, because everybody has a story, right?
I was just about to say that. When you see you in person and see you on TV, you're proof that you never know what a person has been through and has gone through in their lifetime. So how did you find the strength to find your sideline shimmy?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, my mantra is fall in love with your story. And again, it's been a long journey. Losing both my parents to fentanyl overdoses within 5 hours of each other. I was a freshman at Rutgers, just trying to navigate life as an 18-year-old. And wanting to find the joy again, right? Because I felt such that deep shame inside of me. And it was the people around me. It was the people that were surrounding me. It was the support system, my Auntie Linda, my Uncle Mike, my family, my Rutgers family, that really pulled me back together. And then when I started being more vulnerable and sharing their story, I just saw this amazing impact and just built this resilience up through it all. And I think for me, y'all, this is the one thing I think about deeply. Fall in love with your story. And I think that when my parents were here, it was hard for them to love their story because of the shame they felt, because of the addictions that they were going through. And I now feel if they were sitting here today, which I know they are, that they too would love their story.
Wow, how powerful. Incredible. The numbers are staggering. Addiction affects nearly everyone in this country in some way or another. Everyone seems to know someone dealing with it. What is your message to other families going through this?
Gosh, I think we just struggle with this idea of this stigma around it, that we can't talk about it, and the shame. And addiction thrives in isolation. And I just want to encourage people to speak up and speak out. Ask questions, right? Ask some of the tough questions. Sometimes it's tough love, but it's leaning in and loving them, and ultimately recognizing it's not all about just second chances, right? Third chances, fourth chances. Sometimes it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a long journey.
But for so many,
it's
a shame that comes with it. That's so hard to get over.
It's so hard to get over it. But I think as you start to speak up and you recognize other people are going through this same thing, right? Then you recognize that connection. And I just love to see it when people finally get to that place where they can step out of their fears and have courage to face it, because then I think they see, again, that ripple effect where other people are impacted, and it gives them a voice, and it ultimately gives other people permission to speak up and have a voice.
Lauren Sisler, you are helping so many people.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story and for being here.
Can we do a little shimmy?
Always shimmy. You can find Shatterproof everywhere books are sold.
Love your spirit. Really, really love your spirit.
Thank y'all.